Into a very, very special episode of the BCP, ladies and gentlemen. A couple of interesting things happening here in the world of wrestling. We'll talk about that, but shameless promo. We are brought to you by our friends at Funkenstein Wrestling Superstore, located in Englishtown, New Jersey, the blue building at the flea market and online. They are the best. We love you. Heather and Dan, our literal favorite store. We got X-Men, G.I. Joes,
love
Turtles,
it.
Ghosts. You know the deal, Noons. It's great. Everything.
Wrestling.
That's it, man. So check out Funkenstein. We love going there every weekend, guys. Check them out online, eBay, all that good stuff. Shameless promo out of the way. Please welcome back to the show. Let's just be real. I mark out for this guy every time I watch his show. Thursday nights, the man's a genius. Please welcome back to the show, Mr. Warren Hayes. Warren, nice hat, man. How are you, bro?
Christ. The standards you establish for me, like, you and my mother were the two people who have, who create these unachievable standards. Thank you for having me. I really it's a pleasure to be back. It's always fun to be here with you, Chris, and Bill as well. So,
very well deserved,
fantastic
to be back.
It's fantastic to be back. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
of course.
Do it anytime. It's good seeing you. And you hear him, the goodest brother, on location via satellite. Please welcome in the best smelling human on the planet, the number one Johnny Gargano fan, my goodest brother, one of my best friends in the world, Mr. Chris Nunez. How are you? I miss your face.
I'm doing good. This week has been very interesting. It's good to see all your handsome faces here. Hopefully the handsome police doesn't come soon, but
it's true.
I got the door closed. I'm good.
And speaking of handsome, please welcome back. He is the hashtag lay editor and chief of the popbreak.com hashtag Dad Instincts. Our guy, the rant master himself, Mr. Bill Bodkin. Bill, you feeling any rants tonight? How you feeling?
I'm just, last time I saw Nunez, we had a good scissor me daddy ass moment, and it was great. And everyone just looked at us like we were weird because, spoiler alert, we are. But Chris really reminding me of Stagger Lee Marshall during the WCW Thunder days, calling it in from the road, saying, "Hey, Lee Marshall here. I'm at the University of Minnesota talking about Thunder going to be here next week. It's going to be awesome." Meanwhile, he was on the payphone around the corner. But that's what Chris reminds me of right now, and I'm loving every second of it. It makes me feel nostalgic.
I am always working on my Lee Marshall mustache. I don't think I'll ever get that done.
Oh, man.
I am always working on it.
You also have to look like a 65-year-old at age 32. So, I mean, now you are. there is some work you have to do. Rest in peace, Lee Marshall.
Well,
I don't know if he's dead, by the way.
Power.
Well, speaking of working, nice little segue there. Let's talk about what we thought might have been the main event tonight. We have Mox taking on Punk. LaGreca had him on. Yeah, we had very interesting. We had LaGreca. We're listening earlier on Busted Open. They were talking to Tony Khan, and LaGreca kind of kept asking, why, very politely, why tonight do we have this match that I expected for All Out? We've heard a lot about politicking this past week. We've heard a lot of, CM Punk behind-the-scenes stuff, kind of dating back to some of the ROH stuff we had heard. Who knows what's real? Who knows what's what? That's kind of the fun of it. But the match, certainly, we're going on at 9:00. They're saying, hey, we got an hour to do this match. We didn't know there were other matches. That's another story. But really quick, unexpected kind of finish. Mox ran through him. Maybe it was injury. Maybe, he came back too soon. That's something I'd been talking about with this whole interim thing. What's your guys' read on this? I want to start with Warren, man, because I truly do value your opinion here.
My opinion, like throughout this entire weekend, it continued tonight, is chaos in wrestling is so much fun. Like, it is really the best. Totally. The status quo stinks. This is absolutely fantastic. Like, I have no pony in the race as to whether CM Punk is, really disenfranchised and he's pissing everyone off in the back or not. It just makes for extraordinary content and stuff that boils over onto the shows. And I think we were all shocked. I may be a little presumptuous, but I think we were all shocked that this match lasted about 3 minutes or under 3.
320 something.
320. I mean, I don't think we're going that far out on a limb here. I honestly don't know what to make of it. Is this Look, my scenario here, and I was talking about it with my girl Kristen. Shout out if she's watching right now. We were talking about it, and she, you know, I can't take credit for this, but this is actually her thought, and it makes a lot of sense. Outside of a work, which is entirely possible, right? It's CM Punk. It could actually absolutely 100% be a work. Outside of a work, what if CM Punk was indeed not ready to wrestle, but they have the pay coming up? They have to get the title off of him if he's not going to be ready to wrestle for in a couple of weeks. What's the best way to do it then? To have him try to throw a move, can't do it. Like he used his the left leg was the plant leg that he used to perform the head kick. It makes sense in that degree, where then Moxley just mows over him with a pair of Death Riders.
They called them Death Riders.
Yeah, okay. A pair of Death Riders, and we're good, right? And then we're done. So I think it's a quick way to get the belt off of CM Punk, because maybe he's not ready yet, or maybe CM Punk doesn't want to do the job in Chicago, which is also entirely possible. You see why this chaos stuff is great? I love this. I love this so much.
I think you're right. Noons, you have a Johnny Gargano growing out of you, and I know you're okay with it. What do you think about this one?
It was very strange, because I was watching the show at Nick's house. We're discussing it, and I'm totally convinced that it's the main event. They're giving it time, but like what Warren said when they were like, it's up next and it's barely past 9 o'clock. I'm like, why? You could argue this is one of the most important, if not the most important match for Dynamite anyway. It could possibly be for AEW, but definitely for Dynamite. It could be one of the most important, one of the biggest matches. So I found it very strange that it was coming on barely past 9 o'clock. Couple things. Could be Punk really is hurt. It could be Punk saying, hey, look, I'm not ready to come back. Let's take this interim tag off of Moxley and actually give him the title, which I don't think anybody would believe, but it could be a possibility. Or this could be a work. I don't know what it's leading toward. It could be, because if you heard the crowd, I forgot that they were in Cleveland in Ohio, so pro-Moxley crowd, but they were booing Punk. A very big portion of the crowd was booing Punk. They could possibly have Punk go full heel. It could be any of those possibilities. Good for Moxley to finally, because I've been saying it for a while, like whoever won the title while Punk was out, it was always going to be almost at a disadvantage, because they were always going to say interim. And out of all the champions in AEW right now, I feel like Moxley looks the strongest. He's been fighting every week. He's been defending the belt almost every week. He's been bleeding literally in the ring almost every week. I feel like he really has been carrying the company on his back, and I feel like he deserves to not have this interim title. First ever two-time AEW champion. But yeah, it was a strange situation. I'm very curious to see, like I was telling Rob, where do we go from here? But yeah, it's crazy, because I was convinced that Punk was going to win. So this is very, very, very surprising.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I like what both you guys said. Welcome in Kristen Ashley in the chat. We put you over already. Welcome in Cam V, Bubba John. Saying I love Punk, Bubba John here. I love Punk, but Mox has been the face of AEW. I agree with that. I've kind of stumbled around that interim term, which you guys have heard me talk on the show. I think now it's legit, but still very interesting how this played out. Was it politics? Was it Punk just being like, hey, you know what? Just give him the belt. I don't want to be done with it. Or is it like, hey, like I've been saying this whole time, like, don't rush him back. Like, make sure you're okay and you can fight and you're healthy, or somewhere in between. Bill, very interested on your read.
So I think one night, I think there's some real life context here. I think there's issues here. What they are listen, I just came off of like 4 months or 6 months of like anxiety and depression. I don't care what CM Punk's problem is with people backstage. I don't need that negativity in my life. What I want is I don't care. Like, here's what I don't like. I work in a terrible work environment and I've been going through hell. So I'm in a good place now. So I don't want to hear about other people's terrible work situations. What I do want to see is what they can do, because Tony Khan, I feel like, in amongst all this, went to his basement, dusted off his VCR, and put in an episode of ECW Hardcore TV from like 1998, 1999. It was like, well, how did we do this? How did Paul Heyman do this with a worked shoot of Shane Douglas not wanting to drop something, or this person or that person, and how did he get around it? Or even go into the earlier 90s when Sabu didn't show up and then he came back. How do we creatively get out of this mess? And this is the fun part of, we don't know where any of this is going. There are people, respected journalists, who are saying he's done, he's walking, he's leaving, goodbye, Phil. And I'm just like, no, he's not. One, money. He's not leaving. Two, they could do one of two things with him. They could bring him back, shelf him for a bit, because he might not be ready. Shelf him for a bit. He comes back, Monster Pop. Imagine he comes back for Grand Slam. Huge. Or you bring him back as a heel. Because, Warren, I believe you posted something that I voted for in the affirmative, which was on Twitter was, MJF has to come back tonight. And that was my thought. He's going to be the Kip in the box. It's not going to be Kip Sabian. It's going to be MJF. He's going to jump in. And there's going to be a whole thing. But didn't happen. I actually like this better because, one, CM Punk doesn't look bad here because he got hurt. He was injured, so he's fine. And he can come back and say, you beat me, John Moxley, but I was hurt. John Moxley looks like an absolute killer, and I cannot name one person, I think, in this very moment that can beat John Moxley in AEW. And when we do find that person, that's going to be really, really exciting. So, like, the possibilities here are infinite, and AEW hasn't let me down so far with long-term storytelling. Mm-hmm. Short-term, yes. Long-term, they've been pretty solid with that. So I feel there is a master plan that's going to unfold. But if CM Punk walks, he's the one who's not going to look very good. So that's why I don't think he's going to walk. But he also rode off in the sunset. He lost. And there you go. But I don't think he's leaving. Although many people are convinced he's done, I am not convinced he's done. And we're in for a hell of a run. I don't know who Moxley faces at all out. If it's Hangman, well, Merry Christmas to me.
But that's going to ruin their business, Bill. Are you kidding? We don't even have a main event for the big pay-per-view 2 weeks before. What's going on? The AEW's in the mud. What's TK doing? We need 6 weeks of build. Minimum.
He needs to allegedly stop doing cocaine all the time when he books his shows. I mean, how many times have I heard that? It's just like,
oh boy,
it's just like, whatever, you do what you got to do. But like, it's just like every like AEW. I heard when Papa H came back that AEW, like literally Warner was like, guess what? We're gonna treat you like an animated series on HBO Max, and we're gonna jettison you into the abyss and delete you from our archives, just like Batgirl. That's what I was told because Papa H came back. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I've heard the same thing as well. And
you saw the notes. You saw the letter.
It makes absolute sense. No, it makes complete sense because, as you know, the CEO of an enormous corporate merger, does hang around wrestling Twitter most of the day.
There was that letter from Mr. Warner himself.
Yes, from Bob Warner. Yes, absolutely, saying that they needed the payment from AEW to continue broadcasting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Done. It said, turn off the lights. The party's over. AEW's done. Final episode. Series finale.
I hope no. You mean Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister? I want to shout Emil in the chat. I enjoy watching AEW because you never know. You never know who will be there. You never know anything. Yeah, I think we've been saying that on the show, especially in the predictions panel. You don't know what's going to happen next. And want to shout you out. Thank you for the comment. We're doing a little auction this week. Ahead of Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. I just talked to someone from Connor's Cure Mania Club. We'll have that out later. But it's crazy because someone we work with at ISPW, his kid was just diagnosed with leukemia. So we're doing a lot for the GoFundMe right now, and it's already raised a lot of money. We're doing an auction. So check out the Rob Williams page and the BCP page on Facebook. A lot of donations of people just there's an Undertaker signed 8x10. There's Alexa Bliss, Liv, that Moxley exclusive figure, and all that stuff. You're just gonna pay to the GoFundMe. It doesn't go through me. It goes right to the GoFundMe. I'll eat the shipping. And yeah, just help our guy. He's the ISPW champ, and his kid just got diagnosed with leukemia, man. So it's very cool to see everyone just kind of rally around that. That's what it's all about. So thank you, Emil, Bubba John, everybody who donated items and are doing this for the right cause. So if you have a platform, use it, people. That being said, shameless promo, got to talk about something that's not a work. You cut the Thunder Rosa in the back, tears. I mean, I think I was on my phone, or I was deciding the draft order, watch the video noons. I just kind of hear her crying. I look up and I'm like, oh, because we love Thunder Rosa, former guest.
Very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, it's crazy news. What did you think about that, man? Did it get you in the feels?
It sucks because you could tell she, not that, she, out of all wrestlers, you could feel her passion through the TV screen. Yeah. Every time she's on, and it really is a shame because I feel like her title reign still has a lot of legs to it, and I feel like she hasn't been featured as best as she could be. With that being said, it's really sad and it's really unfortunate. It should be a banger of a match at All Out, the Fatal 4-Way for the Interim Women's Championship. Haters in the match were haters, that little ripple effect. But no, very unfortunate for Thunder Rosa. We watched the big match with her and Britt. Was it San Antonio?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, bro. You're chopping in and out a little bit. We'll get you back in 1 second, man. No, you're good, man. It's just cutting. We'll get back to you in a second, man. But I agree with what you're saying, man. It was crazy, just seeing her crying, and it who's going into this picture. And now we have the interim, term again, which isn't my favorite thing, but that's the way they're going. They're sticking with it. I know a lot of real fights go that way, so it's definitely one way to go. Warren, what was your reaction when you saw Thunder Rosa on the screen shedding tears?
Oh, it just. My instant thought is oh, she's dropping the title, and I'm like, what is going on? It feels like every AEW pay-per-view that's coming up, there's people that have to drop titles because of injuries, and it always stinks. But I think it stinks particularly in Thunder Rosa's case because look, she's going to be interim. I'm glad they're doing that.
Yes, but
up until this point, I would not necessarily say her reign has been stellar. I don't think it's anything that, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Thunder Rosa, and this has nothing necessarily to do with her. This is all about booking at this point, right? So I don't think I know a lot of people were like, oh, Toni Storm has to win the belt at All Out, but I was like, no, wait, Thunder Rosa needs a big win. She needs a big one. She got the belt off of Britt. And what has been her really big defining win? She hasn't had it. I think, going over Toni again, at All Out, it just helped consecrate everything, right? Second win over Toni Storm. And we're talking about the long-term booking here with Bill. I am completely okay with the challenger having to work and claw their way back towards a champion and be like, look, I couldn't do you once, couldn't get you the second time, but the third time's the charm. Hey, third time didn't work for Kenny Omega. It took him 4 times before Omega was able to get over Okada, and that was exciting. So, look, it stinks because she's injured, and I don't wish any injuries on any wrestlers. I want them to have long, healthy, successful careers. So it sucks. Plus, as we all established, we really love Thunder Rosa as a human on top of that. So it's doubly ridiculous. But like even in this context here, I felt like she needed it. Like I think this is another. It's another slip in her reign as champion, and it stinks. It just stinks. It's rotten luck.
I feel like she's been hurt all year because I've noticed the quality of her matches starting in 2020, like February 2020. Because remember, she was everywhere. I mean, she was working GCW regularly. She was working a lot of dates, and then I think it was like right at the Mercedes Martinez street fight. I feel like since then, like she has been working hurt because she's been a lot like it. She doesn't feel as crisp, and it feels like she's slower. And I feel that she's been working hurt for the better part of this year. She denied it going into the cage match. I remember it was like, oh, I'm fine, I'm not hurt. But it's just like she definitely seemed like there was something off. So I feel like there was an injury at play for way longer than we knew about. Because at first, my first thought was, oh, this is a work. And they'd like, because of, we've heard about Punk. We've also heard about Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker don't exactly get along. That's always been a story. But, I saw Fightful had confirmed it, a legit injury. So it's just like, the only thing I would have done differently here with the 4-way is traditionally at All Out is the women's casino battle royale. I would have had the fourth person win that spot. And I would have had Shida in that spot because Shida really hasn't been positioned on TV for quite some time. So I would have done the casino battle royale, had her, and it's tried and true. It's a trope, and it's a trope because it works. Have her start first, have her go all the way to the end. And then you could have had a nice little surprise for someone as the Joker. So I think that would have been, would have worked a little bit better, but that 4-way is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I would go left field, and I would go Jamie Hayter.
Ooh, okay.
I would just say, like, why not do something different? Because Britt is who you expect.
Yeah.
So why not just say, like, all right, and they've sort of done the Wardlow MJF thing, like, very subtly with them of, like, will they break up? Will they were kind of really hot on that. Then they pumped the brakes. I would put the belt on Jamie Hayter. Why not? Because I also think Tony Storm is going to go to Japan for a little bit. That's just my theory.
Wow, interesting. Very, very well said, guys. I do also want to talk about that 6-way match for the trios tournament, man. I just love the time that Ospreay and Rey Fenix got in the ring together. They got a lot of work together, man. So that's, frequent flyer miles. That's my kind of wrestling right there. Warren, what did you think of that? Is that your cup of tea right there?
Oh, I mean, we're right in my wheelhouse here. Like this is, I'm the work rate guy wherever I go. Like this was fantastic. And, and on top of that, hang on, there's so much to say. Yeah. What to start with.
I'm going to start with one line because it reminded me of only a guy from New York would say it. So Taz at one point says, let me tell you about this. I've been around for a few minutes. And this Ospreay guy, and I'm thinking, here's this profound thing. He's like, he's a friggin' freak. And I'm just like, that was something my dad, who's from the Bronx, Paz is from Brooklyn. So it's just like that's such a New York guy thing to say. Just use friggin' and like something else. Paz, you poet. I love you. Thank you.
And real quick, welcome Viola in the chat saying, shout out Jack Cool in Spain. We are a fan. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Thank you so much from Spain. That's so cool. Warren, but please continue, man.
I mean, look, he is a freaking freak. There's no other way to put it. Like, and I watched most of my wrestling with Kristen, and Kristen, as we were watching the match, she's on her phone, she's going like this, and she goes, "He's 7 years younger than me," like just out of nowhere.
How do you think I feel every day?
Yeah, exactly, right. And so that's the thing with Ospreay. Like this guy is outstanding, and there is absolutely a case for him to be on, conversations for match of the year. I understand that Will Ospreay is not everyone's cup of tea for multiple, moronic things that he has said in the past. I can that's fine. I can completely get behind that. And there's some things that that's just the way it is. But I mean, the guy's talent is undeniable. Everyone in that ring was undeniable as far as talent goes. This is the thing. This is what you get when you put world-class pro wrestlers in a ring. And I'm talking like top tier, well-traveled, international, world-class athletes. And you say, let's just go. Let's have a match. Because even the sequences we're talking about, Ray Phoenix and Ospreay, but Ospreay and Pac was just so incredibly tight, just like flawless stuff. And it gives you shivers. And then it reminds you how fantastic of a wrestler Pac is. And you're like, what are we even doing with this guy? Having him travel the world, be the ambassador with the All Atlantic title. Okay, fine. What are we doing with this guy? He every time he's put in these positions where he can shine like crazy. He did.
Yeah.
The brain, and then look, doing the red arrow and eating the knees on it. Like it's not comfortable for Will either, but it's not comfortable for him too. And he took them proper. Like it wasn't a little bit to the side. No, like it was everything in this match ruled because you had top tier, just excellent, world-class athletes right there doing what they do best. And it was an outstanding match. Outstanding stuff.
Yeah, love it. Noons, what you think, bro?
Will Ospreay is amazing. I don't know if you guys knew that, but match of the year, I would consider this one of the match of the year candidates. The match with him and
Sure.
Orange Cassidy at Forbidden Door was absolutely phenomenal. Love that match. Will Ospreay is just every time. I've only watched him a few times. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not.
Go watch what he did just a week ago against Kazuchika Okada in the G1 finals. There's another match of the year for you.
Okay.
Go see what he did during the damn tournament with Shingo Takagi. There's another match of the year tournament for you. He's had like 4 within an 18-day span. And that's not even talking about the rest of the year that he's had against Nick Wayne, against Brian, against Blake Christian. Just like he started the year at Wrestle Kingdom with a match of the year. So I like the guy, he just pumps them out constantly. He's outstanding. Sorry to interrupt, Chris.
No, I want a top. Send me a top 3.
I love the passion. I don't know. You guys might disagree with me, but they've been building Kip Sabian being in the crowd for all his title matches. I felt like it was the wrong time for Kip Sabian to pull the trigger on that. I feel like they kind of not ruined the ending, but it kind of stopped the flow at the end. Otherwise, it was an amazing match. I feel like they should have did it at another time.
I think that's a great point, man. We talk about long-term storytelling, man. I'm like, oh, this is some really long-term storytelling, but really he was just in the crowd for a long time. But I don't even remember, was Pac the one to take him out?
No, he's just been showing up to his title defenses around the world.
Yes, that's
and
what it was.
Like doing the slow clap right in front of him. So I knew he was going to interfere, not in this match, but I knew him and Pac were going to wrestle at some point. I just didn't think that he was going to interfere in this match.
You posed a great question, man. And Warren, I was going to throw it to you before we go to Bill. Yeah.
Counterpoint. I think it was the perfect time.
Really?
I think it makes tons of sense. It was a big match for the Death Triangle. He fucked it up for them. Excuse me, can we swear on the show?
Yeah, you can. Maven did a lot, that's for sure.
He fucked it up.
Maven did it. Well, listen. As long as Maven could do it.
Look, if Maven can swear,
we're tough enough.
There you go. There you go. So, but screwed up the match for the Death Triangle, screwed it up for Pac, so they're not advancing in the finals. And All Out is in 2 weeks. You got to pull the trigger on that one. You know, it's like, you know, that just has to happen as well. You know, and this is not on you necessarily, Chris. You know, because but I feel like it's a generalized feeling that we have a lot in wrestling, where it's like, they should have waited. They should have waited. We should have done that. Like I've heard people saying like, oh, Johnny Gargano, I would have waited for a pay-per-view. Oh, I would have debuted this wrestler at
that's a fair point.
You know, and this idea that we always have to sit on our things instead of just doing them. You wait too long, and you know what happens when you wait too long, Chris? When you wait too long, you end up never having a fatal 4-way main event with the 4 horsewomen at WrestleMania.
Yeah. My God.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because one of them is going to disappear at some point. One of them is going to get into do it while you have it. I think that's the best. Yeah, exactly. Strike while the iron is hot. Do it while you have the possibility to do it. Again, but I'm not blaming anyone who has that mentality, because we've sat through 2 decades of seeing wrestling happen one way and being told, oh, we're going to wait for the perfect occasion to do this, the perfect occasion. You know, it kind of reminds me like with my ex, when it'd be like, let's go hike. Let's go. No, but listen, let's go hike. It's a little too cloudy. It's a little too hot. There'll never be perfect weather for hiking.
Yeah.
Just go. Let's go fucking walk in the woods.
I just meant for this specific situation. That's all. But I get what you're saying, though. You don't want, for certain situations, you don't want to wait too long.
And the other thing is that not everything is a main event thing. Not everything is like a top tier thing. Pac, Kip, it's a mid card act. Let's just do it. It doesn't matter. You know, it's like, let's go. You know, let's just pull the trigger on it and make it happen, and it's fine. You know, it's like. But, you know, if anything, pay-per-views in 2 weeks, you need some build. I think this works.
The big takeaway, though, is about Kip is my whole thing was when he does do this, is anyone going to care? Because he's been out for a year. He was Miro's lackey. And, think about it. We haven't seen him since, the winter-ish of 2021. So he's been out for almost a year and a half not wrestling. And I was like, is anyone really going to care about Kip Sabian? And Cleveland definitely gave a shit that they were chanting his name. And I was like, oh, maybe that's just the microphone picking some people up. No, people were pointing at him, chanting his name. And that is organically getting over. That's the most over he's been in AEW. He's never been a top guy. He's never been beloved, but I watched him in the, now defunct for a good reason UK scene. And he was great when they brought him in. I was so high on him. And I'm like, this guy is awesome. He's so arrogant. He's such a great personality. He never really got to do it. It never really flourished. I think now he can. And that's the other part I want to talk about was Aussie Open. I watched them in progress for years and they were so good. And every time they're in, I would see them in AEW, they just would kind of be the bump guys for Will Ospreay. And I'm like, they're so much better than this. I mean, Mark Davis was, high-fiving people in the audience and, almost breaking their hands. I mean, for legal reasons, he shouldn't do that for national television. But I watched him and Walter, because I won't call him the other name, I watched them chop the crap out of each other. And he went toe-to-toe with him. Like, these guys are really good. And they finally showed out, how good they are. But the Will Ospreay stuff was amazing. And Pac doing a goddamn moonsault with 2 feet on a rounded corner post. No human being should be able to do that. And especially someone as thick as he is. I know he's not the tallest guy, but he is wider than he is tall. And
he is a thick boy.
He's a heck boy. And he did that. And I'm just like, that's literally defy. He is the man gravity for God. That's when you say that stupid fucking name. It's like, but everything he did was great. And this was worthy of being in the main event. As shocking as Moxley and Punk was, this is what you pay your money to see in AEW. And that, I think, is one of the best trios matches they've ever had. And they're just obviously building for Will and Kenny to clash at All Out. And Kenny's going to have a lot less tape and gear.
It's going to be next week.
Yeah,
they're on the same side of the brackets.
I don't remember time or calendars, man. I forgot if AEW didn't promote Game of Thrones last week, I would have forgot the premiere, which I had to write a review and podcast about. Was this Sunday? Thank you, Brian Danielson.
Well, we should write a letter to Bob Warner then. Thanking him.
I'll let him know. It's
great stuff. Very well said, guys. In the words of Newfound Glory, have they waited too long? The Kip in the Box bonus points for you, Bill, on that Kip in the Box. Very interesting.
Shout out to that Hurricane Rana too, with the top rope Hurricane Rana with Will Ospreay sticking the landing. Unbelievable.
God. And the Avalanche Brainbuster. What are we even doing?
Oh boy,
insane stuff.
Ridiculous.
It's so good. Rob, I know you're going to want to move on, but there's one match I just want to really
I was just going to ask, please.
Is the Jay Lethal Dax Harwood match.
So good.
Could have been 2 out of 3 falls. I would love to. I mean, Jay Lethal's been solid in AEW, but this was easily his best match. And Dax, I know there's a lot of great wrestlers out there, but just give him Wrestler of the Year, because he's just doing it on all levels. And then we got the motherfucking Motor City Machine Guns.
Oh my God!
I couldn't believe it. I popped big for that.
We even said last week, like, really, FTR and Wardlow versus Sanjay, Satnam, and Lethal, like, that's kind of a blah trios match.
Yeah,
now, this is a fucking incredible trios match. I am so excited for this match now.
I love it. And before we get to Nunez's soliloquy on Johnny Gargano, we'll save that for later. Anything else that you guys want to touch on in AEW? Maybe the Starks promo, Jungle Boy Christian. Anything that you guys wanted to touch on? Nunes, go ahead.
No, that Starks promo. I love the passion. I love the how real it felt. As far as going through hard times and having friends pick you up, and then for them to turn on you. I mean, luckily that's never happened to me. I don't know if it's ever happened to you guys.
Just wait, it's coming.
But
Rob's gonna turn heel on you so bad. You never see it.
I knew it.
Never see it coming.
He's gonna hit you right in the neck.
I couldn't. You could feel the passion, and shout out to his lime green shirt.
Nice. Wrestling fan.
Someone said to me, and I want to get your guys' opinion. They said it was really shitty of AEW to send Ricky Starks out there with a mic after the Punk Moxley match, and I was like, my personal opinion was that's because they trust him.
There you go.
They trust him because Ricky Starks
he killed it.
He's the future, and only he could rock a neon shirt and leather pants and cry and get over. Most people would be like, this is a lot. I feel like this is a scene out of Entourage, and we don't need to relive that series. So, but there he is. He did it.
Once again, shoes with no socks, but that's just
you hate that.
That's just the problem. I can't stand that. But it's Ricky Starks. He's rocking it. So
love it.
I will echo everything here, and I'm completely with Bill. I think he's. What did they do with him? Was it last week or 2 weeks ago when he came out for his match with Aaron Solo? That was 2 weeks ago, right? Where did they put his match? At the top of the hour, top of the night of the second hour. That's because they have faith in the guy. That's because, like, all right, go out there and do what you need to do. They wouldn't, otherwise they'd put him in quarter hour 7. You know what I'm talking about. But they have complete faith in him. And that's the proof that they have there. I'm completely with Bob. But not to reiterate all these points here. I really like the Bryan Danielson, Chris Jericho upcoming fight for the custody of Daniel Garcia. I think it's amazing. Here's what I like about it. This is what I like about it. And it, as much as we're all, I think, rooting for, at least I am, I don't want to do too much projection, Daniel Garcia hugging his favorite wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
And joining the BCC, as much as we want that, there is just enough here to make us go, we're not quite sure because he shoved Jericho, but he didn't outright condemn him. Like he didn't outright like slug him and say I'm done or take off his. He didn't like he came out in his Buffalo Boys tee. He didn't have any JAS shenanigans around him, Dragon Slayer background. We don't know. So this can easily carry into the All Out match where to that very moment, AEW is not really strong on interference and stuff like that. It happens, but I'm like, you know what I mean? Especially at the pay-per-views. But that can still hang in the balance where, during the match, Daniel Garcia comes out and you don't know on which side he's on, and you're not going to know right up until he decides, because I think there's just enough doubt here, not enough clarity as to whether or not because when he came out and Jericho started apologize to me, I was like, there's the turn. But then Danielson comes out and I'm like, oh, hang on a second. Yeah. Now from this point on, it can go either way. And it's still not resolved. We don't know where Garcia is going to go. And what a good job he did on a live mic in front of the crowd. Because he's done a lot of pre-tapes. He's done a lot of backstage interviews. But he did a very, very strong live crowd in the middle of the ring promo. I was very happy to see that.
Very, very well said, Warren. And you said it perfectly, because we see a lot of these things like with the Inner Circle or Jericho, and usually like you said it perfectly, you could play out either way. I think if you're smart, like give the fans what they want, let them join it with BCC. I think Garcia wins. I think that's just
the
money.
Easy choice.
That's the good business choice. But storyline, Jericho is always 2 steps ahead, like we've seen with a lot of these confrontations. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it go that way. Great stuff. Bubba John in the chat saying, what about Dax Lethal? We talked about that. Stellar match. Dax going for MVP here for sure. All right, guys, let's talk about it.
I just want to say they should sign Kylan King. I've been a fan of hers for a long time. She
looked really good tonight.
She did the thing where she left. She got better. Just give her the graphic. And Willow Nightingale, you sons of bitches, just do it.
Still a mystery to me why she has.
Yes, me too. It was basically love her energy.
So I feel like they have paper on her somehow.
In the chat, I'm calling Garcia is going to cost Danielson the match at the pay-per-view. Very interesting. Kyle Masters from the Elite POV podcast. Subscribe to them. They got some great interviews. Love those guys. Saying, look at these great-looking people. And Rob. No, I'm just kidding. Look at these great-looking people. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it.
It's like that happens. It's like, Vicky has entered the chat.
Yes.
Bitch, I'm coming to Canada.
This chat is vicious. All right, let's talk about it, guys. We've been waiting all week to talk about this. I did not think Monday night was going to be the night. Nunes, it's so cool, and this is one of our favorite things we've ever done with this podcast. We'll be done right now. Our all-time favorite, man, Johnny Gargano. He had, 9 months away from the company. We saw him at a con. Yeah. He signed every single one of your figures. He did the drop for the podcast. You went up and asked him, hey, if you got a few minutes, come to the table. He sat down with us for a good 12 minutes, just talked openly and honestly about everything. You got to thank him for everything he's done for you. There were tears. It was like an emotional interview. It was a love letter. It was so awesome. It was one of my favorite things we've ever done. And just seeing him come back made me think, like, we had such a short window to do that, and we made that happen. It's one of those always bet on yourself, never say never things for us, man. And it was such a moment. I'll never forget it, man. It played out perfectly. That being said, I did not think Monday night in Canada we were going to see – I'm not knocking Canada, don't worry, Warren. But in Canada, we were going to see you guys –
Canada, of all places, geez.
No, Canada's got it together. Let's just put it that way. That being said, I'll say this. Johnny Gargano pops out just coming out of commercial. It says Gargano on the screen. I'm like, please keep the Johnny. Please keep the Johnny. The music, the promo, the emotion, him talking to the camera, saying, I missed you guys. It was everything. And I was a little behind on Raw. I was watching it live, but I was like a little bit behind. And I got like 3 messages, and a couple of them were like, did you see or are you watching? Then one of them was just Gargano. And I was like, like I'm a spoiler phobe. I like having that emotion. No. So I told everybody, I'm like, don't text Nunes. Don't text Nunes.
I'm glad that they did, because I was about to go to sleep. I wasn't watching Raw.
Yeah, well, I didn't know. I wanted it to be as organic as possible. But that being said, it was perfect in my mind. It was emotional. Rebel Heart check. call back to long-term NXT storylines, kind of seeing how that's going to play out. Him saying what he's been saying in interviews for such a long time. I want that IC championship. I want to be at WrestleMania. I loved all that stuff because it comes from the real place. It's almost like Cody coming back and say, hey, I want to win this title for my dad, and that's going to be an interesting dynamic with both of them.
I ran out of guys in AEW to fight.
I think but Johnny is that, like, I said it on the podcast before, like, I want somebody to root for. I want an underdog to root for. Like, I want to see him climb that ladder. Like, I don't want to see him just win the IC title. Like, I want to see him struggle, and I want to see him fight, and I want to see him last a long time in the Royal Rumble. And you have Cody who wants to win this for his dad, but now you have Johnny who wants to win this for his kid. And I think it was perfect. I loved everything about it. Nunes, talk to me, brother.
I'm very happy for Johnny. I'm glad that he finally gets to show what he can do on a big stage. Very, very bold move to just debut him or have him return right after a commercial break. No pomp and circumstance. No, hey, Johnny Gargano's coming back tonight. It was just Rebel Hard hit, and he came out, and the crowd response was very good, thankfully. I'm just very happy he's finally on this big stage. I'm very happy he has a chance, like a lot of the crop of NXT people that were with him during that time of 2017 through 2020, him, Ciampa, Asuka. I hope him, along with all of those other NXT wrestlers from that time period, I hope they finally get a chance to shine. I hope they're shown, that they mean something, that whatever they do is important. And I hope they just don't get thrown to the wayside. Just the fact that a lot of these guys are re-signing or returning is a very good sign. I know that technically nothing has happened yet under the Triple H regime, but I feel like the potential's there, and I feel like it's on an upward trajectory. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm wearing my Rebel Heart shirt. This is unironic because Rob told me about tonight, and I was like, I'm wearing it anyway. So, but I'm very happy. He looks happy, and that's all that really matters. I just hope, I hope the best for him. I'm just very excited.
Cautiously optimistic. Yeah, I think we'll be watching it all a little bit more. Maybe we'll be going to Extreme Rules in Philly. We'll talk about that later. Warren, I see you rocking that hat. Always been a big proponent of Johnny, man. What did you think about this? Is this the right decision for Johnny, you think?
Well, it's not me to say. If he's re-signed with WWE, then that is the best decision, and I'm grateful that he has a situation in which he feels comfortable enough to do it. So that's ultimately, we can only assume that this was the best for him. So good for him. I think, yes, it was extremely bold for just like back from commercial. You got a bit of a lull, and you know what? I was listening and. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Raw is not my favorite show. Like I
said, I was about to go to sleep. And I only knew about it because people texted me.
Well, I was doing stuff. I was at my desk and I was doing some work and I have Raw on the second screen and I'm doing my thing. And then all of a sudden I hear, the clapping, and I'm like, I know that song. And I'm just
that tweet was amazing, by the way. I was done.
and then I turn my head and I see the logo, right? And you know what's great? This is what I really liked about the reaction is the audience had the same reaction I had. They were like, yeah, there was this swell. Everyone was like, wait, hang on. I know that. Wait, is Gargano? It's like, and everyone went nuts. And of course they went nuts. They were in Toronto. Toronto is insane. It's like Montreal. They're all
the crowd noise almost sounded superimposed, like during the Thunderdome. Like it was really quiet, and then it exploded. It almost sounded fake.
No, but you could see the people in the audience sort of going, yeah. And then you saw people started to rise, especially when he finally saw the word, his last name appear on screen. I mean, look, I'm a huge Gargano fan. I know a lot of people have a lot of very snarky takes about how he wrestles and the drama and the staring at his hands. Why am I so violent and all that? But the thing here is that, his work with Ciampa in NXT is era defining. It's going to be it's a Steamboat Flair situation. It's an Omega Okada situation. It's one of those where they're inseparable. They gave us incredible matches, some fantastic story throughout it all, some great wrestling on top of that. Honestly, I'm glad he's on main and that he's going to make a lot of money. I'm looking forward to his matches with Baron Corbin and Madcap Moss. And I'm stoked to see him put over Omos. T-Bar will actually be good, but I'm excited to see him put over Omos. These are, all matches I'm looking forward to.
24/7 title run.
He's a 24/7 guy. Absolutely.
He has with the belt will be like iconic. I think it will really be iconic. But Warren, we have to discuss something. What happens with we didn't have any videos for this guy. We have there's no promos leading up to him. What happens when WWE runs out of returns and pops? I think this is a discussion we have to have.
I mean, this is, obviously they're running out of them, because there's only so many mid-carders you can bring back.
Now, let me talk about that. So my buddy Kenny, I got to shout him out because Rob knows Kenny. So when they were talking, when I lost my brain about the Infinity Gauntlet, he's like, it's not the Infinity Gauntlet, it's the mid-card mitt, dude. He's like, it's not even, and I was like, fuck, don't insult.
Don't get me wrong, okay? I want to make something really clear. Don't get me wrong, because I think, and I tweeted this out as well, Johnny Gargano is an actual good get back. Okay, he is actually the first of the Triple H returns where I'm like, okay, this is meaningful. This is something because this is a guy who has range, and who is beloved and so on and so forth. Killer Cross, I feel everyone's forgotten about his NXT run, and for some reason it's been reset that he's this game-changing second best heel in the company thing. I don't understand that. We have all the worst elements of Hit Row back. We have the outside from Asante the Adonis, but he's not the star. He's the worker, but he's not the star. You know what I mean? We got back Dexter Loomis. I love Dexter. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, this isn't game-changing stuff. It's Triple H calling his people back. And here's the other question that I have: Where did WWE suddenly get all this money to hire these people back? Right? Because all these budget cuts, all of a sudden, it's like, oh no, we're bringing them all back.
Well, listen, Benevolent Papa H just fired 15 people from NXT UK. I think he saved, he saved $15,000 doing that. But they don't pay him great over there, except Trent Seven, his boy, they got rid of him. But so Rob, tell me where you heard that argument before. Oh, that was me last week.
Ran to the show. That's why you're here, Bill.
It is Johnny Gargano. Warren, I'm sure your history with Johnny probably goes far back like me. It's like the Chikara days when he was in Friends in Similar Tights, aka Fist, with Chuck Taylor and Grant Akuma. They were awesome. And Icarus. They were awesome. And seeing Johnny Gargano return, I didn't see it live. I was watching Ghost because I was doing a podcast about it the next day. So I missed it. And someone tweeted me, someone's like, it was Kimmy. She's like, Gargano's back. And I just responded, no shit. And because I'm just like, it was so, to me, I'm gonna sound such a dick when I say it, but it was so obvious he was going to return. He didn't take any bookings. He did interviews about Triple H and Shawn Michaels being his wrestling dads. I'm like, Johnny, just walk around with a sandwich board just saying, I'm going back. Here's the date. With that being said, when we talk about because I'm also rewatching Marvel and watching it for the first time for our podcast. And so the Infinity Gauntlet was a game-changing weapon. Yes. It eradicated a way of life. And instead of thinking it as Triple H doing that to AEW, which a lot of people want, and those people are assholes because why would you want people out of work? I don't know. It's I've been out of work a lot. It's terrible. But what he's doing is what he's trying to snap out of existence is the way things were done in WWE. The only way you can do that is by bringing back someone who is actually clutch and actually talented. And for as the jokes I made, I was like, there was no return of, there's no promos. How do people know him? He was only on NXT. Well, Toronto knew who he was.
Yeah.
That's what you needed. That's a return. Again, I'm still under the impression of returns are great and debuts are great. You need to tell a story with them. I'm still firmly entrenched in WWE does not have my goodwill. They do not have my confidence. That's
a fair point, though.
I need to see 6 months worth of storytelling to be like, if Johnny Gargano loses to Austin Theory out the gate, fuck yourself. I am never coming back.
I was gonna say I think them having Theory interrupt him was a good move. Like I like how they brought back the way, but yeah, you are right. If they have Johnny lose to Austin Theory right out the gate, it's kind of like
I don't agree that bringing Austin Theory out was the right moment. I think Johnny earned the right to have his moment and then leave, and then maybe a backstage where Austin Theory runs into him next week. Johnny Gargano.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
I think has earned the right to receive his flowers. He's great. He is. And I get the third Ciampa, the cinematic match wasn't my
No.
But I mean, but everything else about Johnny Gargano is incredible. And I'm hoping that because he's a smaller guy, they take it seriously. I want Triple H to take it seriously. I just don't want it to be like, hey, we got all those lapsed NXT fans to come back because we got Johnny back, but I'm not going to do anything with them.
Can we continue to expand a little bit on this, or are we short on time?
Warren, you're the MVP. Please, come on, man.
Oh, come on, stop it.
This is how I get him to come back.
I think all these returns, what they are, I think this is Triple H building goodwill. Okay, and I think you don't have to look deeper into that. It's just him building goodwill, saying, hey, you remember when the old man was here, right? All your NXT guys that you really liked, and we brought them up, and they were treated like shit, or you were afraid, or Vince didn't understand and didn't know what to do with them, right? Well, look at what we're doing here. This is our changing of the guard for you, the fans who were somewhat lapsed. I'm bringing them back. And look, I'm going to put them in all these awesome spots. I don't think the idea is, I joked about Dexter Lumis a few minutes ago, but I think the return of Dexter Lumis is significant when you look at it that way, because we're not bringing Dexter Lumis up and then repackaging him or having him be semi the weird stalker, but not quite, or Vince just calling him Loomis, moving on, or whatever. No, we're getting Dexter Lumis. We're getting the weird stalker dude who's coming in, who's sneaking through security to choke out people. It's the same thing, right? We're not getting Johnny Gargano, who is actually a Vince found out that his dad owns a pizza shop, so he's like, hey, your gimmick is a pizza maker. When we're calling the Johnny Mozzarella moving forward, it's not something stupid like that. We're getting Johnny Gargano, the rebel heart. Like we're moving forward with this. So I think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of good faith, and I think that's what Triple H is trying to buy back from the core audience. And the core audience, from what I understand, is buying into it. However, this week on NXT, one of the greatest wrestlers to ever do it, Meiko Satomura, ends up on NXT. They set up a triple threat match to unify the belts. What is the thing that I see on Twitter? Oh, Meiko's going to lose. She's going to lose to Mandy Rose. Well, I'm sitting here saying, look, if this is a new era and we have so much faith in Triple H, why are we sitting here going, Meiko Satomura, the legend, the woman who, like, the final boss? Why is she? Why should we not be going, oh, Triple H is going to put her over? Why are we sitting here going, oh, they're going to put Mandy over?
Because Shawn Michaels books it, and Shawn Michaels can kiss my ass. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, just
no. But I understand what you mean. But I would assume at this point, like if you're if you're VP of creative at some point, I don't know. Like I don't know how much H wants oversight on all this, but my point still stands. Of course, we had Tiffany Stratton come out in dreads this week, so whatever the fuck knows what's going on this week, right? I mean, who knows what's going on in NXT UK? But I find that there's actually, outside of the overzealousness of people going Triple H, it's a new era, and because I'm with Bill. I have 2 decades of goodwill that you have to build back that you lost, right? That and it's not going to be, a couple of hires on the mid-card mitt that's going to do it for me. God, I love that. I love that so much.
Love you, brother.
So you have to build that back for me. And as much as everyone is excited about it, I still see the same cynicism. I still see the people going, oh, well, they're going to do this, aren't they? So you can't necessarily have it both ways either. It's like, are you all in, or are you still, or are you cherry picking or all out, or are you cherry picking your reasons to like Hunter? Right. And then if it's not, because I asked the question this week, legitimately on Twitter, now that Vince is gone, who are we blaming for the firings? Oh, Nick Khan, Stephanie McMahon. They don't have shit to do with that.
They're not the head of talent relations.
Nick can go to Triple H and say, look, here's the spreadsheet. We have X thousands of dollars that we have to save. Make it happen. You need to release X $1,000 in salaries to make this go. Triple H goes, okay. Trend 7, so on and so forth. Of course it's him, that's it. My point being is that, I think there's a lot of enthusiasm, which is normal. I think, and I think Triple H is playing it very, very smartly in doing what he's doing. I will concede that, matches are longer, better. I mean, that's always exciting because you watch wrestling for wrestling. But on the flip side, I still have people going, the booking's going to stink, right? They're going to do this stupid shit. Is there really a change then?
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, it's definitely not, like Bill said last time, not the status quo. Where's my bar at? Obviously, Johnny coming back is the big one for us. I'll give you guys a little bit of pushback on the Austin Theory thing. I thought the segment itself was great. It called back the NXT storylines. We saw where it was going, but in a very exciting way. I think Austin Theory is the perfect opponent because he's a guy that when he loses, it doesn't hurt him or anything. Because, he's got the money in the bank. He's a guy who's going to keep losing. Then he'll have that cash in. I don't know how the cash in's going to play out. But I think that's a great first opponent. So I agree with you guys. Johnny should not lose that if that is the first match, which it seemingly should be.
And Nick, my friend Nick brought up a good point. Would they possibly have Austin Theory lose the money in the bank, give it to Johnny? I don't know if that's.
I don't want to see Johnny get a jetpack.
I don't want that.
I want him to I want to see him be the underdog. Yeah. And
why do you want to see him struggle? What did he do to you to make him?
No.
For him to have a bad life.
First of all, Johnny's living his
of my daughter. And I want that kid to come home. I want him to be smiling more often. Baby wrestling deserves his dad to have a good run. You're wishing ill on Johnny.
Never. I thought that guy was going to struggle. I thought that guy was going to drive us home at the convention, man. He was so nice. But yeah, I want to see, Rey Mysterio obviously being my favorite. I would love to see, if he just goes in and wins or wins the Money in the Bank, I want to see him really last long in the Royal Rumble. I'll go on that journey with him, and it's going to be very interesting, and that's why I'm excited. But we'll certainly see what happens with that. It's definitely an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. That being said, we'll see how everything plays out for sure, and I'm sure we'll talk about it soon. We got our All Out predictions coming up. We talked to Connor's Cure Mania Club ahead of Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. Guys, again, please donate to the GoFundMe for our good friend, the Carino family. And yeah, lots going on here on the BCB. Check out our interview with Maven we just posted. Brett Azar from Young Rock series took a few minutes with us. We talked about Terminator. We talked about Young Rock. That's great. I'll post that later this week. And then courageous Christina Marie, shameless promo, coming on the show. But before you hit the subscribe button on the BCB channels and all that good stuff and leave us good reviews, you got to go over to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show because this man is brilliant. I love his takes. He's ahead of the curve. Shameless promo, Warren. Hit him with it.
Is there such a thing as an unshameful promo? Because they're always fair. Shameless, but what if I don't have any shame to begin with?
That's fair.
So but thank you very much, Rob, for having me on again. It's always fun popping on to chat wrestling with you guys, and there's just so much good stuff these days. The chaos is amazing. So it's fun to chat with y'all. And I am leaving with the mid-card mitt. You have no idea. That is such a good call. The Mr. Warren Hayes Show is my podcast, which I record live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, every Thursday. So tomorrow, of course, we're going to rehash what happened on Dynamite. Of course, we're going to talk about Johnny Gargano. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Hey, NWA 74 is happening this weekend, which is also so.
What a goddamn!
Which we can preview it. We can chat about it. So it's a good time. There's a live chat. It's always super interesting. And if you can't make it, well, the VOD pops up the next day, and it's also available in podcast format on your favorite podcast application. So love to have you there. YouTube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, or look for the Mr. Warren Hayes Show on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, so on and so forth.
Follow him. He's the man. And speaking of the man, the myth, the legendary Mr. Bo Bodkin, you got a little something called the Pop Rig with 1 million podcasts.
Yeah, Warren, do you think Jeff Jarrett starts a promotion by the end of this year with Conrad?
Yes, I was gonna say he's gonna do it with Conrad. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think he's pissed off now.
Yeah, well, they got the real Double J back, which I tweeted that as a joke, and some MAGA chud was like, I'm going to retweet this. I'm like, let me put a disclaimer in. I don't think this is good. I think he sucks. As for me, if you must follow me on Twitter, it's going to be wrestling stuff, which you're going to like. Because usually I'm on non-wrestling podcasts, and I talk a lot about wrestling. So when I say Wheeler Yuta is the next Ricky Steamboat, just ignore it. You're not going to understand what it means. It's at Bodkin Writes, WRITES, where I'm talking about wrestling and retweeting stuff from thepopbreak.com, which is the site I've been running for the last 13 years. We're talking all sorts of great stuff: movies, music, television, pro wrestling, anime, comic books, digital trends, all sorts of great stuff. I've got a ton of stuff coming up. I just reviewed House of the Dragon. I have a whole interview series from the Asbury Jams weekly that happens every Thursday at the Wonder Bar. Tomorrow is actually their last show, and I have 2 interviews coming out from there. I am also the co-host of the Socially Distanced podcast, which drops every single Friday. We are talking about House of the Dragon, and Amanda Ribas of BCP fame will be my co-host for that, as Al Manarino is out at Podcast Movement right now. So I also am the Bill and the Bill versus the MCU podcast, where I actually watch the MCU all the way through. You can find it on the Breakcast. We drop that once a month. And I also have TV Break, where I talk TV once a month. And I'll be launching a new wrestling and music podcast starting in October. So follow everything on the Pop Break at the Pop Break on Instagram and Twitter.
Bill, as a guy who got lapsed out of Game of Thrones because of the terrible finale, how was House of the Dragon? How was House
I enjoyed it.
I didn't think you were a Game of Thrones guy, Rob. So that's I'm very surprised at that. Because there's so much violence. I know you have baby ears and baby eyes. You're such you're a common man. You're like Dusty Rhodes, but like the WWF Dusty Rhodes. I mean that in the most sincere way possible. I could just see you wrestling in polka dot trunks. And I know there's one person in this world who now wants to make that happen, and she is very Italian. Anyway, so rant aside, House of Dragons, it's good and bad. So it has some of the bad stuff is they carry over some of the faults of Game of Thrones, like sex position and way too much trying to dump as much history and backstory in as humanly possible. However, I believe they do a really good job of establishing comedic actors in dramatic roles, like Reza Fons and Patty Considine do really great work. The set work and the visuals are amazing. It really brings you back to the best parts of Game of Thrones from an aesthetic standpoint and from a tone and tenor standpoint. And overall, it's a bit of a glacial pace, but it's a lot of setup, and it makes me, I kind of am like, okay, cool. I'm back in this world. I'm here for episode 2. I have to finish the season because I'm podcasting about the finale in a few weeks. But I think overall, if you were snake bitten by the last season of Game of Thrones, like we all were, I think this will be a nice palate cleanser.
Okay.
Very well said. Yeah, I'm here for episode 2. You hit it on the head with the pacing, but you got to set everything up, man. And like you said, I just can't wait for episode 2. But all right, guys, on that note, let's get out of here. Guys, thank you so much for making the time. Like we always say here on the BCP, everyone stay safe, stay positive,